Hello students, today we are going to be discussing the exam strategy for your law paper. What you have to do before the examination in that last 1.5 day or 2 day that is remaining, and also how you have to be attempting the examination in the exam hall so that you get the maximum marks possible. Okay, let's start off with this video, but before we start, make sure that you subscribe to this channel, like this video. If you have any comments or questions, please write them down in the comment section below. I'll reply. Let's start off. First part of the video we'll talk about before the examination, and second part of the video we'll talk about in the examination. So before the examination, see, it may be possible that your course is only 80% completed or 90% completed. It might be giving you some anxiety, but I'm here to tell you that you can even pass and even get an exemption with 80% to 90% of the syllabus coverage. So make sure that whatever you have studied, you just revise it nicely again, at least before the examination. Every single provision, every single concept is revised thoroughly by you, so that that 90% or 80% portion that you have completed, from that, if any question comes, you're able to attempt it nicely. Okay, you're able to write something in it. You're able to make sense in the examination for that, right? So that is going to fetch you good marks. And don't worry about the remaining 10% portion that is not completed. Since the exam is just around the corner, please don't do any new topics right now. They're going to consume too much time. Okay, rather you just revise what you have already studied. They don't take up that 10% portion that you have left out. Okay, let it go now. Trust me, revision is going to get you more marks because you will be able to attempt those questions in the examination versus trying to do new topics at this point. Don't do this fatal mistake. Also, very important that just before the examination, in that last 1.5 day, 2 day period, don't take up any new book, any new notes. Just revise from the main book that you studied from. Prioritize revising first, and then once your revision is completed, after that, do the amendments relating to that attempt. So for this attempt, the amendments in your law paper are very less. Make sure you do them, but also make sure that you're doing the amendments of the previous examination also. Okay, in the previous attempt in company law, there were many amendments and questions were not exactly asked from all of those amendments. So there are chances that questions may be asked in this attempt for the amendments relating to December 21 exam. So make sure you do both the amendments for this attempt as well as the previous attempt. And after that, if any time is left, make sure you're doing the revision test paper for the CA students, and make sure you're seeing the exam papers also. Okay, so for the exam papers, last one attempt, when you open the exam paper, do this one simple exercise. Okay, analyze the type of questions that are there, and then make a selection of which type of question would you prefer to do first if you were sitting in that paper. Okay, so generally speaking, the first question is compulsory question, and after that also a couple of questions are generally longer and bigger. They are sometimes more scary. Whereas when we talk about the later part of the question paper, the questions are comparatively smaller. They have more internal parts. Okay, so it may be possible that you comparatively prefer those questions over the first category of questions, that is the compulsory question or the second, third question. If you do this kind of pre-selection of the question which you want to attempt first, it will really save some time in the examination in that 15-minute period that you get. And of course, it's not a hard and fast rule. You can change the strategy in the exam hall also if it doesn't work out for you. Now for the CA Inter students, I have made this one video containing the ABC analysis. So I'm going to link it here in the I button. It is going to help you understand the paper pattern. Now some tips for the last 1.5 day or 2 day preparation before the examination. Well, see, make sure that you're sleeping sufficiently. At least 5 to 6 hours of sleep is necessary so that your mind is calm, you're relaxed when you're writing the paper. The second thing is, in the last 1.5 day or 2 day, have some sort of a plan as to how you will complete the entire syllabus. Revising the whole syllabus is very, very crucial in that last 1.5 day or 2 day that you get. Okay, start from A category chapters, then B category chapters, then C category chapters, then the amendments, RTPs, and the exam papers. And for that also have some sort of half an hour or 1 hour deadlines. So if you have 16 chapters that you have to complete, and in total in the 1.5 day, let's say you have 20 hours to 24 hours, right? Then that basically means that you will have to try to complete every chapter in 1 hour approximately. If it's a smaller chapter, then maybe half an hour. If it's a bigger chapter, then maybe 1 hour or 1.5 hours, right? So have those deadlines in mind, and based on those deadlines, just write on the side of the index in your book that I'm going to take this much time to complete the chapters, and then abide by those deadlines. Okay, from the very beginning, be very fast. Sometimes what students do is that in that last 1.5 day, Initially, they are very relaxed. They study in a very slow pace. They take more breaks. And then later on, they have to rush a lot. They are getting more panic and stress. And then they leave out some of the chapters revision. So we have to try to avoid that. So from the very beginning of that 1.5 day, make sure that you are studying with speed. You are taking least amount of breaks. And you're trying to complete the chapters in these 1 hour or half an hour deadlines. That will ensure that you complete the entire syllabus revision. And whatever you revise in that last 1.5 day, that is exactly what you will remember in the paper. If you leave out some chapters, which you have done maybe 2 months ago or 1 month ago, you might not recall the provisions. That is why make sure you complete the revision. Also, before the examination, 1 hour or 1.5 hour prior, just leave everything. Okay, so if your exam is at 2 o'clock, make sure by 12 o'clock, 12:30, you wind up your entire studies and leave it. Because if you study till the last moment before your examination, your mind is going to be so exhausted that there actually reading the paper and writing the answers is going to be a task for you. It will feel burdensome because your mind is going to be tired. So you need the break of 1 hour or 1.5 hour. In that 1.5 hour, you can just relax, you can listen to some good music, or you can just walk around. Don't consume any social media, of course. And that will help you stay calm and make better decisions in the exam. Now, in the exam hall, you have 15 minutes of time that you get for reading the paper for CS students, right? So how do you utilize those 15 minutes? Well, personally speaking, I believe that in 15 minutes, reading the entire paper is a little difficult. Making the choice of which question you will leave is also difficult. So rather what you can do is you can just have a selection of 1 or 2 questions that you will attempt first of all. Okay, and then once you make that selection in the first 15 minutes, then mentally just start solving that answer. Frame the answer in your mind so that as soon as the bell rings, you can just start writing the answer and you have a heads up. You already complete 1 or 2 answers in half an hour or so. Okay, that will give you a boost of confidence. Now let's talk about some of the tips that are useful in the exam hall. So now it may be possible that in the exam hall, 60% of the paper is something which you are aware about. You can write, you know the answers. Okay, so make sure you write them nicely. Apart from that, the remaining 20%, 30%, 40% that you have to attempt, if you don't know the answers also, then also since we are talking about law is very generalized. Okay, of course, there are provisions, but if you just use your common sense also, you will be able to understand what is right and what is wrong, especially in acts like the Indian Contract Act or the Negotiable Instrument Act. So if questions come from these topics and you don't know exactly the answer, then you can just think from common sense and you can accordingly write the answer in absolute common sense basis in your own language. So that way, at least you will attempt the question and at least there is a possibility of getting half mark or 1 mark. And it is very important to understand the importance of half mark and 1 mark. Okay, so let's say 30% of the paper is something which you don't know. But still, if you attempt it and let's say you get half a mark in each of those questions, then there is chances that you get in total 5 to 6 extra marks just because you attempted those questions. And 5 to 6 marks is huge when we talk about our CA exams or CS exams. They can be a difference between passing and failing. They can be a difference between exemption and no exemption. So even if you don't know the answer, write something in it, write the introduction, write something from your own common sense, but attempt the answer. Now, when you're writing the answers, presentation in law and other theory papers is also very, very important. I've made a detailed video here. You can check it out relating to presentation in law paper or any other theory papers. But broadly speaking, if I have to tell you, then make sure when you're writing the answers, especially case-based answers, you write it in 3 parts. First, you write the provision, the applicable provision from law. Then you do the analysis of that case relating to that law. And then finally, you write the conclusion. See, some students, they don't write the conclusion. Writing the conclusion is also extremely, extremely important. After all of this discussion, what is the final verdict that you are giving? You have to write it down. Make sure that you're underlining the important things. So if in the answer, there are 30-day limit, 45-day limits, you're underlining them. Special resolution is required. Ordinary resolution is required. You're underlining them. And what is the final conclusion? You also underline that. So when you underline these things, it reflects confidence. And confidence is very important. If you're able to reflect confidence in your answers, automatically the perception of your answers in the eyes of the examiner is going to be good. And based on that perception, he will probably be a little more lenient and he will give you better marks in the future answers. Apart from that, if it's a theoretical answer, then in that case, write your answer in points. Now see, in the exam hall, time management is extremely important. The paper is of 100 marks and you get 180 minutes to complete the paper. So on an average, 1.8 minute you get for each of the marks. To be on a safer side, I used to assume that there is 1.5 minutes that you get for 1 mark in the paper. So accordingly, if it's a 4-mark question, you get 6 minutes. So now this analogy is very important to stay on track, to stay in time limit. From the very beginning of the paper, it is so important that you maintain your speed. Okay, whenever you see a particular question, see the marks allotted and accordingly do some sort of calculation that you have to complete this answer in 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. A few minutes here or there, it's absolutely okay. But all in all, you have to try to complete the answers in that time frame only. If by any chance you think that you won't be able to solve that question in that deadline itself, or maybe you don't know the answer, then please drop that question. Okay, please leave a page for that particular question and you can always come back after the end of the paper to solve that question. But at that point, leaving that question is extremely important. Don't attach your ego to it. Just leave that question, do the other questions well, right? Your job is not to do every question right. Your job is also not to ensure that you're doing 100% paper. Your job is to make sure whatever you have studied, how much ever you have prepared, you're able to reflect that confidently in every answer, right? So you have to make sure you give your best. And then let the institute decide, let the examiner decide. Also in your examination, if you know the sections, write the sections, but it is not necessary. If you don't know the section, if you're doubtful, please don't quote the sections. Just write the provision, the analysis, and the conclusion. So those were all the tips I wanted to cover in this video. If you have any other questions, please write them in the comment section below. I would love to reply to those. Now share this video with your friends and make sure you do your best in the examination. That is all that matters. That is the only factor that is going to make you feel peaceful after the paper. Alright, all the very best for your examination. Bye-bye.